Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round 21 of the ANZCAR Cup for 2022, brought to you by 24/7 Sim Services. We are here at Michigan International Speedway tonight. A little bit different from the calendar as we are waiting a week for Indianapolis Road Course, just to have a slight update. So hopefully that will all be finished and we'll be at Indianapolis Road Course next time out. But we are here at Michigan tonight for another good old oval race. Joining me up here in the booth, I have Mr. Mark Johansson. How you going, Mark?
Yeah, good, Carl. Good to be back again. Thanks for having me back. I'm amazed you haven't got sick of me yet and kicked me out.
Well, we've got to get better locks on the doors. That's what I keep telling Matt. And also joining me up in the booth, we have Mr. Matty Hunter himself on cameras and chipping in when he feels like it. How you going, Matt?
Yeah, good. Yep. Just still setting some stuff up in the background, so don't mind me if I sound a bit distracted.
As is always the tradition. Um, Tonight, a bit of a smaller field, Mark. Obviously, good chance for some of those drivers that have had a few poor races this season to get a good opportunity to use this as their round not to drop. There could be a few surprises tonight and a few drivers getting some good results and maybe helping out with their season.
Yeah, definitely a good way to do it. Just looking at the timing at the moment, Carl, with Jason Martin sitting on top at the moment, I believe. Paul Jackson is up there with along with Jamie Nankervis and Gary Willman. So they're guys that are mid pack guys. Jamie Snort can get into the top 10. So by the look of him tonight, we could have a few surprises there. But you still got to look out for your Micklemore, Foster, Dyson's there, Pearson's there. So it's going to be still. You've got to hope those guys have a bad night for some of these other guys to get through.
Yeah, that is it. It's hoping it's sort of you don't want anybody to have a bad night, but it will help if they have a bit of a poor race result tonight to help your season standings for sure. Currently on the season itself, we have Andrew Dyson in the lead of the championship, 21 points ahead of Brenton Hobson, who I don't believe is here tonight. I think he's missing out tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't look like he's there, Carl.
yeah,
Yeah.
Neil Pearson sitting in third, who's 21 points behind the. But sorry, for 31 points behind the leader. 44 points down is Jason Martin. He's going to be trying for a good night tonight. 49 off the lead is Josh Micklemore in fifth. Sixth, we have Edward Foster, 81 off the lead. Skurlock in seventh, 103 down. 138 down is Luke Trahere. Paul Jackson in ninth, 150 off, and 154 is Ruben Phelps. And then just sitting just outside that top 10 is Daniel Hederscheid, 180 points behind the leader. So if he can have a good result tonight, he could possibly get himself back into that top 10. And people like Darren Love as well, Gary Wellman, they're all going to be looking to try and get themselves up into the top 10 tonight. Even Maddie Ray, Stevie Dub, those drivers that are going to want to try and get into the top 10. It's a good opportunity for some of those tonight to actually get a really nice, strong result and move up a few places. So expect to see that happening. But we have got the grid up right now, and taking pole position is Barry Neal taking the pole tonight. So that's a nice bonus point for him with Andrew Dyson on the out on his on just behind him. Then on the second row, it's Daniel Hederscheid and Ryan Jones, who had a strong finish last night in the Thunder. He's going to hope for a similar one tonight. Row three is Raymond and Russell. Russell, another driver that had a strong race last night. He's going to be hoping to be in contention here. Josh Micklemore, of course, could be in for a good one tonight if he has another repeat, with Foster on the fourth row. Fifth row is Phelps and Pearson. On the sixth row, we have Douglas and Skurlock. As we go over to row seven, it is Campbell and Koch. Row eight, we have Martin and Worley. All purple row on row eight. On row nine, it's Clark and Nankervis. As we go over to row 10, it is Jackson and Lobb, with Patton and Wellman on the 11th row. And then finally, rounding out is Fenley and Jordan, rounding out the 24 cars who are out tonight. So it's going to be an interesting one. Um, and yeah, looking forward to this race. It should be interesting. And look, still a strong field, 24 cars out there. So it's going to be tricky to get into the top 10, and hopefully we'll see a nice clean race as well. Temperature-wise, though, it is 46 degrees on the track temp, and that is really going to be a problem here at Michigan because those tyres are going to get very, very hot. So,
Yeah, definitely are, Carl. I'll let the race get underway. I had a chat to a couple of guys earlier, and they've let me into a few little secrets. So yeah, we'll catch up in a minute with that.
as the pace car pulls in, we get ready for the green flag. An orange front row tonight. It is Barry Neal on the low line with Dyson on the high line, and they get away. Dyson gets a very good start there, as well as Heddershide just behind him. So Dyson and that high line gets a nice run. Obviously, the high line tends to work well here at Michigan too, so watch out for the high line. Get very close and checks up in the first corner. That low line's working well for the time being. Neil might lose a position here, may lose two as Heddershide looks to go underneath him. Look at Ryan Jones getting a great run as well. Neil is just dropping back at the moment as they go 3 wide into turn at number 3. And Neil just eases out of the pedal a little bit there. Russell's going to take advantage of that. It is Dyson in the lead at the moment, with Heddershide and Dave Douglas, Ryan Jones, Daniel Heddershide just behind him. It is really close stuff up to the front.
Yeah, definitely, and they're racing for sheep stations too, further back in the pack. We've got guys 3 wide, and they've been 3 wide there for a little while now, starting to single out and sort themselves out.
Ryan Jones just having a big moment there. I'm sure hopefully he's not wearing a white race suit because that would be stained, as he had a big snap just going through the corner. He managed to save it nicely, and now he's got back on the power and is actually getting past Dyson. But yeah, as you say, there's a lot of people getting racy early on in this race. I think the tyres coming up to temperature much quicker than normal as well, with that track temperature. Dyson and Russell very close to each other there as they go through turns 1 and 2. It is absolutely neck and neck at the front as Jones makes a run in the lead.
Yeah, look, I spoke to a couple of guys earlier. So the fuel window tonight is going to be between 45 and 48 laps. Don't know how long the tyres are going to last, because they said to me, they said on cold green tyres, it's very, very loose and understeers in, and that's for about 5 to 10 laps. And then once those tyres come up to temperature, it goes complete opposite, Carl. It then starts to get a real push in the car and tightens right up. So it's I think we're going to see a lot of the guys trying to run that mid-track to high line to try and look after that right front, because that's going to be the tyre that gets really hurt here.
It is indeed, and I think a few drivers are going to need to just watch out for pushing too early. It might be a case of drivers just going a little bit softer in this early stage of the race, and then pushing on as it gets later stages. But speaking of that, Foster's now starting to put in the hard charges. He started actually moving up the pack.
I was just going to say, Carl, they're race drivers, mate. They're not going to be going easy. They are. There's not a lot of people that know how to go easy once you put on a race helmet.
No, it's the old the mist descends and the drivers get very, very racy when you put them out there. It's the thing about racing drivers that a great man, Nick Gouzel, once said to me, who was a manager director of Brabham back in the day. He said racing drivers are not smart enough to work outside of a car. Usually, you strap them into a car and they lose all their brains. Meanwhile, up at the front, Dave Douglas just has a big moment. He just catches the wall. The double D, Dave Douglas, just catching the wall. Luckily, doesn't look like there's much damage on the front of that car.
No, big shout out tonight while we've got a quiet spot to Abigail, our usual person that likes to get in and gives us grief. Good evening, Abigail. Welcome again to another week. And Mr. Brad Allison, that's having a night off. So, welcome to the broadcasting, to the channel, Brad, and hope you enjoy a different view from being outside of the race car.
Getting to watch from the sidelines tonight, so hopefully enjoys the brief broadcast. And thanks for the lovely comments, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you very much for the comparisons. I guess I'll take the Zeppo marker. But up front, it is Ryan Jones taking the lead at the moment. And he's just getting a little bit squiggly on that car. The rear's not quite happy on that car at the moment. On the Skittles entry, it's looking a little bit wobbly.
I'm just looking at this. Barry started on pole and he's dropped down to 7th. And what are we? Lap 10?
Yeah, I think
Lap 8. So I wonder, and Barry's openly admitted that he can't save tyres. So maybe those tyres have already started to drop off for him.
yeah, he's well. I think that also just taking that big little bite of the Wolfer just didn't help there as well. Barry is he's getting back now. I think he was going a little bit softer in the early stages. He seems to have got the pace back now, and he seems to be climbing up slowly. As I think Jamie Ladd-Curvis might have just got a bit of a not Jamie. It was Kobe Jordan just getting up close to the wall there, as so does Philip Worley as well. So they've both tagged the walls. So a few more hits, and good evening to Lachlan, Mr. Lachlan, out there, as well as Mad Dog, Stevie Hoppet as well, joining us tonight for the race. But a few cars struggling as they get through the end of the corner, and they're just getting that little bit wider on the exit, and I feel like that could be that front right just getting a little bit hot, and they're just struggling to get that car really turned in, as Ryan Jones almost catches the wall this time around. He's going to lose a lot of time as Russell and Skurlock get a good run. So does Double D, Dave Douglas. He gets a fantastic run out of the line as Jones loses a lot of speed. He's going to fall right down the pack now. This has checked up the front, and this has caused a huge mass of cars to come right to the front of this pack, and the racing has gone wild.
Yeah, we're two by two and about 4 or 5 rows deep there. Yeah, it looks like Jones unfortunately got the wall there and lost his momentum, and that allowed all the cars behind him to sort of get all over him, and they all sort of paired up and got around him there.
Well, it's, one thing, Carl will be happy. There's a Toyota out front for the time being.
Well, as it should be. The Toyota's generally out the front, and then you have those terrible things with the blue badges, and then those Chevrolets lurking around there as well. The overpriced deus, as they are nowadays. But Skurlock is leading well at the front. He's got the moustache to go for the lead. He is absolutely pushing forwards at the moment. Watch out for Jason Martin as well. He's been relatively quiet in the early stages of this race, but I get that feeling like he's just waiting for his moment to actually start moving up. He's up 9 positions already. It's been big movers from the back. A lot of the qualifiers who got a really good qualifying time have dropped down. Michael Skurlock up 11 positions, Dave Douglas up 9 positions, Jay Russell up 3 positions, Foster up 3 positions, Dyson down 2, Heddershide down 3, Jones down 3. So it seems like the leading guys have really dropped the pace, and I wonder if they're just trying to go for a slightly longer stint here and hoping for a nice long green period and see if they get their tyres back later on, while some of the guys from the back have pushed a little bit too hard too quickly and have started to burn up their tyres a little bit.
I'm just watching the Mitch boys here, Carl, and they're nose to tail, and they are working that inside line together, and they are slowly moving their way to the front there.
Yeah, well, it's been a bit of a cup, at least. It's been a relatively dry season for the Mitch Motorsport team. They've managed to get all the drivers in the Cup Series to get a win, of course, which is still a slow series, still a slow start of the year for Mitch. But they're really not especially Jason, he's not really had the confidence in this car, and it seems like as the season's gone on, it's building and building, and he's now starting to get that in there. But also look at the two Natari cars; they're linked up at the moment as well with Hederscheid and Foster, so they're sort of working together a little bit with the team cars, trying to get some sort of just trying to get to, I think, to a certain stage of this race before they start pushing too hard. And you've got Matty Ray up there, Mr. Sheen in the SRM machine, nicely sitting there beside the car at Barron Hill as well. So he's sitting there just waiting to see what happens, and he's running a slightly tighter line too. So I wonder if that will come back to bite him a little bit later in the stage.
Yeah, look, they're all settled down now. Not a lot of moving going around. And as you can see, Carl, they're running that midline into the corner. No one's really getting down onto that inside line. So everyone's definitely trying to save that right front.
Yeah, and with the wear as well on this track, you can sit on the outside line, and it's very tough for the cars on the inside to get past you on older tyres, because they just don't have the grip. They're sort of getting tied off the corner and pushing up to you. So yeah, it's quite easy to defend your position by riding on that outside line.
Yeah, it definitely is, Matt. It's going to be, as we said at the start, whoever can look after that set of tyres towards the end of the race is going to be the one to watch. I'm not sure how many sets of tyres they got tonight. They got
4 sets as always.
Yeah, they'll have 4 sets
normal?
total. Yeah, and I believe they'll be looking at needing at least a minimum of 2 stops. So yeah, I would be looking to divide up the 100 laps into 3 segments.
Yeah. Well, if you're out in front, you're only going to probably get that 45, 46 laps of fuel. So that's definitely, around lap 90. So if everyone tries to stay on that 2 stops race, it's going to be a real sprint towards the end of the race. It's going to be a 10-lap dash.
Yeah, and, as you can see, sort of as cars get more single file at the moment and they're not really pushing as hard, there's a little bit less chance of that caution coming out. Of course, if somebody makes a mistake and they run up too high, that caution can come out. Meanwhile, Matty Ray is absolutely flying. He's as I said, watch out for him, because it looked like he was having a bit of a save early on, and he's starting to come forwards now, and he's pushing his way up the field. He's managed to get past the Mitch cars. He's breaking up the Natari cars now, and he's looking to push his way forwards past Daniel Hederscheid as it stands in the 83 Mobile Breaker Mechanical Repair SRM machine. He's trying his way through, and he does get past Hederscheid, who is now going to fall back behind Martin and possibly Micklemore as well, as he's caught on that low line. He's sort of in an unenviable position right now.
Yeah, you could just see there, he tried to make that hole open up for him between Raymond and Josh, I think it was. And Josh just closed it right down and said, no way, boy, you're going to go backwards.
Yeah, the outside momentum groove is definitely come in now. I think Matty Ray's been using that outside groove to make all these passes. With the old tyres, it just gets hard to keep the car low and keep the momentum through, so that outside line is definitely where you want to go when the tyres wear. And I think you've seen the 53 of Foster. He's recognised that Raymond's come through in a hurry on the high line, and he's sort of moved up there to sort of run that line as well.
Yeah, but the Godfather is going to make it a lot harder for him to get past than the other guys. You can just see there, Foster cuts down into that low line mid corner, and as soon as it starts to straighten out again, he's back straight up in front of Raymond.
Yeah, he's almost playing with his prey at the moment, and really sort of giving Raymond that little bit of sort of showing that little bit of an opening and then cutting it off as soon as it comes. So he's really doing a good job. Meanwhile, up the front, Michael Skurlock's almost got 0.8 of a second lead. So he's pulled away nicely over Double D, Dave Douglas, the man with more D's than Dolly Parton in his name. And he's pulled up a nice gap at the moment. Jaden Russell just sitting in behind Douglas with Dyson there as well. And then Foster, Raymond, Martin, Micklemore, Hederscheid, and then Ryan Jones rounding out the top 10.
And this is what Skurlock needs to do. Forget about what's happening behind him. He's got a nice little gap, as you said, Carl. Get out there and just race his own race, drive the car to the way he feels he can drive it, and just look after those tyres. He can even probably afford to back off just that fraction, but then he's got a little bit of tyre there when someone comes at him.
Yeah, Heddershide has dropped down to 10th position now. He is just falling back because he can't get into that high line. He's got an opportunity now behind Ryan Jones, and he takes that as soon as possible. There was a gap between Jones and Phelps, but you can see how costly that was for Heddershide. As soon as he got bumped down to that low line, there was no chance of getting back into that high line, and he's fallen right the way back from P6 all the way down to P11. So that is... that just shows how easy it is if you make a little mistake or if you just get caught on the wrong line.
And that's the other thing you got to predict now as well is, do you go for the pass on the inside? Because if you don't make the pass on the inside, you're probably not going to get back up into the high line, and you're just going to get railroaded back. The cars on the outside are just going to fly past you, which is what's happened to Daniel there.
I think probably...
just watch Martin, sorry, we got almost a free wide moment. Jason Martin getting underneath Maddie Ray right now, as Martin is now looking to make that low line work. He's got Micklemore just behind him, and Martin is trying to make a bit of a push right now. He is seeing if he can actually get that working. They were free wide for a couple of moments, and it's sort of offset Raymond a little bit, and Martin is absolutely flying at the moment.
Yeah, he might have been saving his tires a little bit there and for a run, and now he's taking that run. Worked pretty hard, probably worked the car pretty hard to get up to where he was now, and then sort of eased off for a few laps, let it settle down a bit, and then now he's doing another push again. He's definitely running pretty good on that low line, both Jason and Josh.
Yeah, as I say, working together again, the Mitch Motorsport crew, and they are working it well together, as is often the case between those boys. They work well as a team, but then they also race each other hard as well, so always fun to see. Foster is trying to break this up now, though, and he's managed to get himself between Martin and Micklemore now, so that's good news for him in some respects, because that will hopefully stop them working. Meanwhile, Martin is on an absolute rip as he gets past Dyson as well. Martin has gone from sitting down in 6th position up into 4th position in less than a lap. So Martin obviously doing something to save a little bit of something for later in this stage, and now he is taking full advantage of it.
Yes, and then out the front we've got Michael Skurlock. He's broken the draft. He's cleared out by over a second now.
Yeah, Skurlock absolutely running away at the moment. He's got a great lead, but there's always that little bit of concern of pushing the tyres too hard in the early stint. We still got probably about 10 laps before people start looking at pitting. So if he can keep up this pace, he's going to be in a good position coming into green flag stops if they happen. Meanwhile, Jaden Russell's getting a good run on Douglas at the front. J. Russ getting down the inside. He gets a beautiful slingshot there. Dave Douglas keeping on that high side at the moment. Dave Douglas trying to keep it there. He's going to get a better exit off the corner, but Russell manages to get up in front of him already.
That was a great setup and a great move there by Russell. A textbook move on a track where you need to run that high line.
As Jason Martin looks to make a pass on Douglas as well.
Seems that sort of mid to low line is starting to... It's got a little bit of speed in it, maybe. And now that we're getting to that stage where if you are looking at two-stop and you don't really need to worry about tyre life now, maybe the drivers are thinking, well, look, we can push a little bit harder and maybe take a little bit of an advantage over these tyres. Of course, what can happen is sometimes you can overheat the tyres a little bit, and then it'll take a good couple of laps to cool them down, and then you can get back to fighting. But if you're looking at coming in the next 2 to 4 laps, then that's not really a problem you have to worry about.
Yeah, if you know you're going to be pitting soon, you would run it hard and get as much out of the tyres as you can.
I'm just going back through the field, just having a watch on how the back markers are going, and I'll tell you what, it's a surprise to see that car the 09 Norman Clark down in 22nd position. So it just goes to show how hard this track is for even some experienced drivers.
Yeah, Norman's been having a good run recently. He's been very competitive in the last few races. But of course, the other thing as well is this next generation Cup car is a very different beast to things like the truck and the Xfinity car, which we've seen a lot of drivers having some really good runs in recently. As Dyson looks to make a move on Dave Douglas now up it at the front of the pack, and they are side by side at the moment. Dyson gets a big wiggle in the mid corner, manages to hold it off of turn 2 onto the back straight, the only real bit of straight on this track. But he can't take advantage of it after that little bit of tail happiness from the car. Just loses that speed on the exit corner and has to slide in behind Douglas. But yeah, a few drivers are struggling to get this car working at Michigan tonight, and I wonder if we'll see in the second stint that it will change a little bit for them. We've seen a lot of times where people have struggled in that first stint. They sort of they use the tyres up too quickly, and then they struggle a lot in that first stint, and then that second stint they come alive. I wonder if we'll see a few of those veteran drivers that are a little bit further back come alive in that second stint once they strap those new boots on the car.
Yeah, definitely. And look, I've had a few phone calls and a few chats with some people, and people that know me know who I'm talking about. And these cars are getting in real life, they're getting a better handle on them every time they get out. I know that the one team has discovered a little thing, and it's probably going to improve the handling on the cars in real life. So let's hope iRacing picks up on it and brings it in.
We've got our first stopper, Brett Campbell, coming into pit lane, and he is back out. So fuel and tyres for that car. Nothing else on Brett, so he is back out there. Woody is back out on the track in the 015, so he's going to be looking, trying to get a little bit of an undercut as Dave Douglas has come into pit lane, possibly. He has indeed. So saw him hemorrhaging time and falling down the timing screen. So I was hoping it was a pit stop rather than him crashing. Locks up a little bit on the entries, but this is one of the top guys coming in early. So now is when we're going to see people looking at coming in. Dave Douglas missing his pit stall though. That is going to hurt him an enormous amount in a green flag stop.
And
Obviously,
Kobe Jordan's in too.
Yeah, Kobe's in too, and look, missing that pit stop is a really painful thing because in a green flag stop it hurts. Skurlock coming into pit lane now as well, so he is in for his pit stop, and track wise, that's a big lockup.
I think that was Wally. Yeah, he was very well locked up.
Yeah, I think he may end up getting the penalty out of that one because he was well past the cone there on pit entry.
Yeah, he was. It slowed it down to about 100 kilometers as he got past the cone, but he will be getting a penalty for that one, I'm pretty sure. That will be a painful one to serve as well. And unfortunately for Wally, he's not had the best one. That little bit of a bite of the ball early on, and it's not been the return to the Cup Series that he will have wanted for sure. Unfortunate for him. There's quite a bit of cloud cover coming over the track, so that's why it's starting to look a little bit more of a dull grey at the moment, and that will help out an enormous amount because that's going to help lower the track temperature. It's quite a cool day out there as well. It's only 27 degrees Celsius. Track temperature's dropped to 40 degrees, but the cloud cover is coming over the track, so if that comes in, if the track starts cooling down, that's going to help out a lot of drivers as well.
Yeah, I think we're seeing quite a bit of cloud come through and over, so the track temperature is probably going up and down by a degree or two as that cloud cover comes through, and even in some corners that might be where it's clouded over, the temperature can drop down a little bit.
Yeah, you can sort of see through turns 3 and 4, it's quite bright, and then as you come down to turns 1 and 2, it's actually a lot duller. And that is that cloud cover. It's a little bit more cloudy over the first set of corners, and then as you get up to the back section of the track, it gets bright again. And that changes the way the corners feel, of course, and it can really throw you out sometimes once things start to change that little bit, and you get the dynamic track temperatures kicking in. So looking at the times, Dave Douglas out there just set a 39.7, fastest lap of the race, until Michael Skurlock just shattered that with a 39.5. So those fresh tyres are definitely kicking in, and they've got a lot of speed. I wonder how long this front pack will stick it out. How long will they be able to stay out now until they come into pit lane? The longer they leave it, the bigger gap that Skurlock are going to have at the front. Of course, they will have the advantage of fresher tyres when they come out and be able to close up that gap a little bit. But as we've seen, it's quite hard to pass here. And if Skurlock can build up a nice big gap, then he is going to be sitting pretty, because once they catch up to him, their tyres will be a little bit less lively, as Daniel Hederscheid comes into pit lane right now. So it is Russell in the lead of this race, with Dyson in behind him, Jason, Martin in third, fourth is Foster, the fifth is Micklemore, Raymond sixth, seventh Pearson, Phelps in eighth, ninth for Jones, and Barry Neal in 10th.
That's Brett Campbell on the bottom there, racing through, trying to unlap himself. He's on fresh tyres. Looks like the undercut at the moment is worth about 2 to 2.5 seconds a lap. Fresh tyres versus older tyres. So we see that blue car on the bottom there, the 015. He is on fresh tyres and he is about to unlap himself.
Dyson looks like he might be coming into pit lane, or possibly throwing a dummy there. I think he was throwing a dummy. He just dropped down to make it look like he might have been coming into pit lane, but he was also getting that nice bit of draft off the back of Campbell. He's taking advantage of it now and getting underneath Russell. He's got that low line. Of course, they are on the old tyres now, and Russell just keeps that high line. Dyson can't make the move, but this has lined up Jason Martin for a possible overtake now. So Jason Martin looking for it. Got Kobe Jordan unlapping himself. Now Kobe is flying through the field now. He's on that low line and coming up to get past the leaders as well. So this is the stage where things can get a little bit messy, because you've got cars unlapping themselves and you got the leaders racing very hard at the moment. So this is where an accident could possibly happen. So I wonder if people are going to stick it out a little bit, just hoping for that caution flag to fly as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Carl, well, I think once one of these front guys head to pit lane, that you'll find that probably the top 10 to 15 will also follow them in.
I wonder if they...
You definitely don't want to get... Sorry. You definitely don't want to get caught out and go have the lead cars come past, and while you're still out there on the old tyres.
So I wonder if anybody's thinking about trying for a single stop here, because they're on lap 40 now. If they can make it another 10 laps, then they're good. But of course, fuel is going to be the determining factor.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're going to have to do some fuel save.
Yeah, they would have had to be fuel saving from the start, which could possibly be what Barry was doing. Barry and Neil and those sort of guys who were at the front and dropped back pretty quickly. Might have been fuel saving. It's a pretty unique track with this one. When you do a pit under green flag, it's pretty much exactly a lap it takes you to get into the pits and then get back out. So even if you're down the bottom of the field, you pretty much go in, do your pit stop and come back out, and you'll be pretty much in the exact same spot you were, just one lap down.
Yeah, that's it. Sort of pit stop transition time is about 41 seconds. Lap time, especially with the tyres at the moment, is about 42 seconds. So it's bang on that sort of point where you come out pretty much exactly where you come in. Gal Foster just asking if 50 laps is possible on a tank. It's possible, but you've got to really look after that fuel tank and be clutching it and absolutely doing all you can to save the fuel. It's going to be very, very tricky, I think, but they're going to try. And I think they're just praying now for a caution as well. So they're just seeing if they can get out as long as they can just in case that caution flag flies. Because if it goes green now to the end, then Skurlock and Dave Douglas, if these guys have to make another pit stop, they are going to be sitting very pretty right now.
Yeah, and as I said, Carl, at the start, the information I've been given is 48 laps is the maximum that they can get out of the car. So like as Matt and you yourself said, you're gonna have to have been saving from the start, and I don't think anyone has done enough to get that extra 2 laps.
You need to be drinking some really, really high-end moonshine and breathing it into the old carby to get it to the 50-lap mark, I think. But we have seen stranger things. I just get the feeling that somebody might try it, even if they can make it to lap 49. It will be really interesting to see if they can actually get to that sort of stage in the race. If they can make it to lap 49, then they've got to save 2 more laps for that final stint. And you can see just how much the lap times, they're dropping down to the 42.2s right now. They've really dropped the pace off at the front. I think they are trying to save like absolute bosses to make it to that halfway point. But I think they're going to be running on the sniff of an oily rag.
Yeah, definitely. If anyone can get that 50-lap mark, I'll take my hat off to them because they've done a great job.
Yeah, if we're going to be seeing anybody coming in, it'll be around about now 45 to 46.
Dyson making a move up at the front. Russell is really saving that at the moment. He is lifting and lifting and lifting. Dyson's going a little bit harder at the moment. I get the feeling J. Russ is clutching a little bit more. It's so tempting as a race driver as well at this stage to go those extra couple of laps to see if you can make it to the end. As we're on board with Jaden Russell right now, so look at the revs on the left-hand side there. He's going to be quite happy with Dyson in front of him because that just gives him a little bit of an aero shield and just helps him use a little bit less fuel. Does he absolutely clutch it in the corner? Not really, no.
He lifted really early though.
Yeah, he is lifting and coasting a fair bit. He's not pushing it as hard as he has to. Going to be lap 47 now, so 54 laps remaining. It's tantalisingly close for these guys, and they're going to be looking at those fuel tanks. Who's going to run out of fuel here? Because somebody's going to make the mistake and actually start spluttering and coughing, possibly as they enter pit lane, or even on the exit of turn number 2, or coming into turn 3. That could be an interesting one.
And the thing about running this strategy as well is you've done it once, but you have to do it a second time as well. You have to go another 50 laps. You have to do exactly what you've done in this first run again, and 2.5 seconds a lap. Whereas the guys who are going to be stopping, they're running at 2.5 seconds catch up. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
Well, what I guess some of them be hoping for is that if they can get this done, and then they get a caution towards the end of the race, that would be their sweet, and then it neutralises the guys that have gone in early.
Gary Wellman coming in pit lane, so he's obviously hit the limit of his tank on lap 48. So it's getting to that stage of who's going to be brave and stick it out there and really try for this. This is really, really going to be interesting to see. As you see, Ruben Phelps has got some good speed now. I think Ruben's done some great saving because he sort of he very much was easing the car through in the early stages. I reckon he's got a little bit more fuel than the rest of the drivers around him. He's able to take advantage of that now.
Yeah, he's not as close as the other ones, I don't think. Having a little bit of a listen to Russell on that last lap, he was lifting very early into turn 3 and coasting it in there. So he's definitely fuel saving pretty hard at the moment, trying to make that lap 50. And the first of the 2 stoppers, Skurlock in 16th, only
13.5 seconds down.
Yeah, only 13 seconds down on the leaders.
So what you were saying, Matt, is exactly right. Skurlock's going to take the lead back once these guys made their stop.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
Dyson into the
Oh.
wall. Dyson just catches the wall there out of turn number 2. Big slap on the front there. He manages to keep it going, but that's really, really hurt him right now. Jane Russell goes down the inside right now. Dyson, contact between those two. A little bit of door-on-door contact because Dyson needs to get down because he needs to get into pit lane. So he absolutely just gives him a little bit of a tap. Foster, Phelps. So these are the guys that have been saving from early on. Phelps, Foster, Neal, and Pearson have managed to make it one more lap, and that's going to be crucial because they can now make it to the end with not a problem at all, and they can lift a little bit less than these guys. So that's going to be really helpful for them to the end of the race for this single stop strategy.
That was pretty good gamesmanship. I like that. You know that the other guy's going to be pitting, so sit on the inside and stop him from being able to come down. But Dyson was able to make a gap there for him to come down and get into the pits.
I think Foster's in this lap. Yep. He's on the low line. He's in. Pearson's in. Neil's in.
All of those boys in that stayed out, they managed to make it to lap 52. This is brilliant job for them. So that's going to really help them out for the latter stages of this race. And this means that, Barry Neal's actually stayed out. Barry Neal's managed to make it another lap.
That was Paul Jackson.
No, it's Barry.
Barry. It's Barry. Barry Neal.
It's definitely Barry.
He did drop off at the start. So, our pole sitter, Barry Neal, he dropped off early on in this race. He has been saving from that first lap. Crucially, that's why he dropped off the pace. Really smart move by Barry Neal, this. And this could be a masterstroke for him because now he can get to the end of the race with a little bit more fuel than the rest. He doesn't have to lift and coast quite as much as the others. So this could be a really, really important one. This could be a race-winning strategy for Barry Neal.
And I think he'll also clock over leading a lap there as well. I'm not sure if he led one of the first ones early, but helps him get a bonus point for that too.
Meanwhile, Michael Skurlock has got a 3.8 second lead over the big double D, Dave Douglas. Daniel Hederscheid sits in third. These are our two stoppers. Norman Clark up into fourth position. So, keep an eye on Norman in that second stint. Of course, running a different strategy, but he's up into P4 at the moment. So, if the caution flag drops now, these guys have all made track position. And this could be a really, really useful thing for those people because they've made track position, and that's going to be really, really helpful in that respect. So keep an eye out now, because if a caution flag falls, it's going to hurt those guys on the single stop strategy. It's really going to help those guys on the two stop strategy.
I don't think we'll see a caution this early. I think we'll probably see one, if we're going to see one, towards the end of this stint for the two stop pick lap guys. I'll get it out sooner or later.
Well, the thing, you can see that these guys are already in fuel saving mode. Andrew Dyson's last lap was only 0.6 of a second faster than Skurlock's. They're already having to fuel save at the start of this stint, whereas Skurlock and Hederscheid and Douglas can just go full noise as fast as they can and as hard as they can.
The question is how long do you leave it to come into pit lane? Because obviously you want to be able to make up time. So currently Skurlock has a 22-second lead over Dyson. Obviously he's going to lose half of that coming into pit lane. He needs to have enough time to regain those positions and get back up, regain that sort of 20 seconds that he's going to lose in pit lane effectively to those guys. He's going to be stationary it's going to take him about 40 seconds to get through pit lane, so he's going to lose a good 40 seconds to them. So he needs to have enough time towards the end of the race to gain those positions back, and that's going to be the balancing act now of how long do you leave it out there, and do you stay out there hoping for a late caution now if you're on those two-stop strategies. As you see right now, Ryan Jones and Josh Mickelmore battling it out. We've got some great fights going through the pack now, and everybody's back grouped up again, and they're sort of racing hard now for position. So this is going to be this could be where a caution might fall.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
effectively the battle of the one-stoppers at the moment. Jason Martin's at the front of that little group there.
but the thing is, it's a hard one. If you get a caution now, okay, so you can make it to the end if you come in for a stop, but it just null and voids everything, and you start the race all over again.
Essentially, yeah. You just start a 40-lap shootout, really. Puts everybody on a level playing field. Although you'll have track position.
I think we'll probably see Skurlock, Douglas, or Heddershide coming into pit lane in the next 3 laps. Because if they leave it out much longer, they're gonna be losing too much time, I think. Because the leaders are the one stoppers are gaining on them now by a good couple of tenths a lap. So they need to start thinking about coming in relatively soon, because they're losing that nice 20-second gap now. That gap's down to around about 19 seconds, 19 and a half seconds. So they're going to have to think about pitting in the next lap or two so they don't lose that big buffer that they've got. So then they only have to make up about 20 seconds rather than having to make up, 30, 40 seconds with only 40 laps to go, because it's going to get to a stage where you're going to lose time.
Yellow.
Caution is out. Big accident. Darren Lobb spinning around. Darren Lobb and Kobe Jordan into each other. And Darren Lobb and Kobe Jordan into each other, and Lobb goes round.
Let's have a look and see what we can find.
So that is soul crushing for Barry Neal. He did a great job of saving that. That's changed up the complexity of the race. So yeah, Darren Lobb and Kobe Jordan getting into each other across the start finish. Well, just before the start finish line. So we'll see it here soon. Side by side they go, and Kobe on the outside, Darren Lobb on the inside here, and I think Darren Lobb just loses a little bit of traction, just runs up a little bit high, and Kobe's got nowhere to go on the track. Lobb is just gone into the side of him, and then bang into the wall it goes. And right here is where it all goes absolutely wrong, because Darren Lobb spins it, goes around, and that's when the caution comes out. So that's changed this race, and it's changed it in the favour for those guys up the front. So Skurlock, Heddershide, Douglas, Clark, Wellman, Koch, they have managed to position themselves into a perfect spot. They needed to come in one more time, and they've managed to get themselves some beautiful track position. Will we see anybody stick it out there and try? Look, Paul Jackson's sticking it out. So Paul Jackson's set.
I just come back and seen on my camera view, Dave Douglas was still out there, but I'm
Dave's
behind.
In. Yeah. So Paul Jackson and Gary Wellman have stuck it out. So, Gary Wellman. In pit lane. Yes, he was. Wellman was in pit lane, but Wellman just took fuel, I think. So Wellman just decided to take fuel. I think he missed his pit box. He missed his pit box. So Wellman will have to come in again. So Wellman's going to have to come in again. He missed his pit box, unfortunately. That's why he's jumped ahead of everybody. It wasn't a lightning fast pit stop. It was just a mistake there for Wellman, unfortunately. But Jackson's throwing the dice here. He stopped nine laps ago, so he's sort of on slightly older tyres right now, but he's going to try something different right now. But Skurlock gets out effectively in the lead of those guys on fresh tyres, with Heddershide, Douglas, Clark, Dyson. Foster only took 2 tyres, So Foster deciding to only take 2 sets of tyres, and that jumps him up into 9th position behind Jaden Russell. You see Gary Wellman coming in now. He's going to have to come in and get his pit stop served, unfortunately, as he missed his box last time round. Foster, the only driver to take 2 sets of tyres, though, that I can see. So Foster trying something different right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that.
Yeah, I know with the Thunder Series last night, the left tyres, if you looked after them, were going to be okay. So I think with this car, you can probably get away with doing right side tyres only.
Yeah, and it only stopped a few laps ago, of course, so they're not that old. So that's it's a worthy risk there, and it's jumped him up, and it's got pretty much all the Atari cars into play now, because they've got pretty much all their cars up in the top 10. But it is,
as you were saying, Carl, Norman Clark started way down the back in 17th, I think it was, now up in the 6th.
Yeah, wily veteran Norman Clark, the Stormin Norman, as we call him, the Kyle Army master. He's worked his way up nicely, and that track position really helped up. We sort of saw at the beginning of the race he dropped right off the back of the pack as well. So he's managed to get back up there. But you've got to say, this is looking good for Skirley as the pace car comes in. We get to the Geico restart zone. When does Jackson drop the hammer? He drops it now, gets away nicely. Good restart there for Paul Jackson. He pulls away good in the Ayatura car, the beautiful orange and black with the fantastic paint scheme on there.
Very wide.
3-4 wide in the background. Oh, Skurlock gets a huge snap. Skirley snaps. Dave Douglas has to avoid him. Skirley's going to lose positions right here. Foster has to ease off a little bit as well. And this is giving Hedershine a big move. Rain Russell and Andrew Dyson into each other as well. Jaden Russell manages to save it. They're going to go 3 wide into turn number 2. As Skurlock falls back, it's J. Russ getting a great run up the inside at the moment underneath Dave Douglas. He's moving up nicely and quickly. J. Russ looking good, but Daniel Hedershine's managed to scamper away out the front. He has pulled out a good lead up the front at the moment. It is all a bit higgledy-piggledy at the back in the mid-pack at the moment. There are cars looking to gain positions. They want to gain them early. They really want to try and get through, as I hear Skurlock needs to pit. Skurlock needs to come in. He's got a penalty to serve, unfortunately. So he's trying to ease his way back. And he wants to get to the inside. Finally gets through with Jason Martin, let him through. But that's so sad for our early leader, Skurlock. That is a real disappointment there.
Curious to know what that penalty was for. I don't think he jumped the start.
I'm just listening to the radio. It sounds like a restart infringement.
Yeah, I think he got caught out in the restart zone. I didn't see any issue.
With the new restart rules, unfortunately.
Yeah. I couldn't see anything wrong with that personally. I saw Jackson pull away nicely. I just think it's one of those unfortunate iRacing little things there. But we've got a race up the front. It is Hedershine versus Douglas at the moment. The casting couch is flying along. That thing has been greased up, cleaned up, and is doing a great job at the moment on the track. Jaden Russell is right on the tail as well. J. Russ is having a great run. Look at Dyson. He's got swallowed up as Ryan Jones goes around the outside. Car getting a bit loose on the exit. Jones manages to hold it there, though. Ruben Phelps and Foster battling just behind them as well. It is a full-on fight at the moment. Foster gets a great run down the inside of Micklemore. Foster looking to make the move on Dyson. They're going to go side by side. They look very close to each other. If these cars had wing mirrors, they would have been touching each other there, but they managed to keep a nice bit of distance. Foster on that inside line, that less preferred line at the moment. Looks like Micklemore's going to make the run. Phelps is sitting there too. Foster needs to make this move happen, because otherwise he's going to lose a lot of positions. Dyson goes down to defend. Micklemore might get a run here as well. Foster tries to move up to the outside, but Micklemore's got that covered. Dyson is covering both those lines at the moment. He is doing all he can to defend against two cars. Foster still on that low side. He's got Ruben Phelps on his outside at the moment. Phelps is stopping Foster getting into that high line at the moment. Foster really wants to get up there, and he is trying his best to get into a position where he can, but he's got nowhere to go at the moment because he's got Micklemore there on the outside. Phelps sitting right on the back of Micklemore, and then Dyson in front of him. It's a really tricky position to be in.
That was a 14-second stop-go penalty for Skurlock.
Oh, that is devastating for Skirley. He had such a good run early on in this race. We saw Skurlock had the pace tonight, and he had possibly the winning strategy as well if that caution flag did not show its face. So we've got a run to the end now. They still have to be a little bit cautious on fuel. You know, it's still not full put to the floor action, but it is nearly close to it. It's not too much to worry about for these drivers now, and it is all about that racing. And as we saw, once the tyres get to a certain point, they do get to a stage where they fall off and you can't really race that low line. Foster knows this, and he's really trying to push forward. He's just got ahead of Dyson now, and he's going to get ahead of Micklemore as well. It's Foster and Jones. How many times have we said that pairing together on track? Ryan Jones in front of Foster now. Micklemore just behind him with Dyson on the inside. Dyson trying his best to get up on that high line, but Micklemore is really doing a good job of stopping that. Dyson now manages to find the gap, gets up behind Micklemore. Micklemore currently sitting in 6th position. Dyson in 7th, Foster in 5th, 4th is Douglas, Jones in 3rd, Russell 2nd, and 1st is Heddershide.
I wonder who's going to work with Ed with Foster, because he's moved back down on that low line to try and get that run. He really needs someone to get down there with him through those turns and help him get to the front, give him a push.
Yeah, and remember, he's only taken 2 tyres, so he's got slightly different aged tyres, but they're not hurting him at the moment. He's getting a really nice run as Jaden Russell loses a little bit of speed on the exit. This is going to give Jones a little bit of a run as well. There is so much action going on behind as well, as Neil Pearson is working his way up by Ruben Phelps. He's got Jason Martin in front of him. Dyson getting passed by Martin at the moment. Martin and Dyson side by side, very close between the two cars. The purple and orange flavours of the respective teams, as Martin will be absolutely trying his best to get past and hook up with Josh Micklemore as well, because that could be a strong run to the end. But also, look, 2 GPR cars together as well, Pearson and Dyson. They could possibly start working with each other a little bit. Foster, meanwhile, has got past Douglas, of course, so he's now trying to chase down Ryan Jones. Jones is having a good run at the moment, up in 3rd. He's going to want to try and keep that one going. If Foster can get up into just behind J. Russ, then of course his teammate is in front of Jaden Russell, so that could be useful, because the Sahari boys could link up at the front, and that could be a good run for them towards the end of this race.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely got some team cars coming together here through these final stages. And it's going to be interesting because I know there's no love lost between any of these 3 teams, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's a fascinating battle to the end. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed we didn't get to see how the strategies played off, but this race has absolutely come back to life now with that caution flag coming out.
Is that Russell trying to make? Yeah, not Russell.
Yeah, Russell making a move on Heddershide right now.
I just seen it in the background there that he moved to the low line and coming into turn 3 and 4, and he's made it stick. So that's a great move. Or is Daniel going to drop back and try and link up with Foster?
No, they get loose. I think Russell got loose, and that slowed him down. They had a check up at the front, and that's given Jones the chance to leapfrog Heddershide right now. They both got a little bit squirrely on the exit of the corner, and that is really given Jones the opportunity now. So Jones all of a sudden coming back to life in the number 11, and he is absolutely getting a run. He's looking left, he's looking right, he's looking low, he's looking high. He's really trying to put the pressure. There's a little bit of contact, bump and run attempt possibly between Jones and Russell. Russell manages to hold it. There's a little bit of a check-up as they all ease off a little bit, but they keep the status quo at the moment, and Russell is going to be watching out for that move again now as Jones goes down the inside. He's going to sail down the inside into turn number 3 right now. Jones on the inside, Russell on the outside. This is getting spicy.
I think what happened there between Jaden and Daniel there is sometimes when you come off that turn 2, the car just won't turn. It just wants to go straight out to the wall, and you just have to get off the gas and try and keep it from going into the wall. And I think that's perhaps what happened there. Jones comes up a little bit. Perhaps the same thing happening there.
Heddershide's got the opportunity now. Heddershide's going to get past both of them, and Daniel Heddershide is 3 wide at the moment. We are 3 wide up at the front. Jones, Russell, and Heddershide. Heddershide goes through. Jones is the piggy in the middle at the moment, and is losing that spot as Heddershide gets back into the lead.
I think that's those cars are getting tight, so they're wanting to head out to the wall, and you have to get off the gas and maybe get a little bit of brake in it and get slowed down, and that's giving the car behind the momentum to be able to get a run and make a pass.
Great racing up at the front. It is frenetic and fast and furious at the moment. Micklemore has managed to get past Foster again, so it's absolutely look, could be anyone's race really. It's hard to pick a winner at the moment. We've got 23 laps remaining here for the 24/7 Sim Services ANZCAR Cup. We are on round 21 at the moment, and look, again, another great race here at Michigan.
It's game of high-speed chess at the moment.
That's a little bit like last week's race. No matter where you look, you've got something happening, which is a credit to these guys. You know, to be racing this close and only one caution for the night so far.
You saw about 3 wide action there. The team was trying to make the pass, but unfortunately he got looks like he started pushing up there and had to get out of the gas and lost his momentum. They're all on each other, on top of each other, and racing hard.
Yeah, real hard racing at the moment, and it is. It's great stock car racing as well. We've seen some door-to-door action. We've seen a little bit of contact here and there, and the fact we've been seeing that little bit of contact and no cautions from it is what we love to see. You know, a little bit of rubbing here and there is what racing is all about.
If you're not swapping paint, you're not racing hard enough.
I had a feeling with this track and this car that we might see a lot of cars right on top of each other and 2x2 action.
Yeah, it is one of the faster tracks, of course. Michigan. It is a very high speed track for one of the.
So if we have a look at the kilometres that they're pulling down the straight, I think you'll probably see them get up to about 311, 312 kilometres an hour. One of the fastest tracks.
Yeah, very much so, and for sort of the as we say, the cookie cutter sort of style tracks, the 1.5 mile, 1.5 or 2 mile oval.
2 miler. This one, yeah.
Yeah. You know, it is a very, very fast 2 miler, of course, and that really makes it exciting. Look at Josh Micklemore, he's getting a great run, and Foster as well, sticking it up there with Jason Martin also coming into play now. It is really getting us there 3 wide for a couple of moments. They squeeze back in. Heddershide still got the lead, but it is so close behind, and Russell is really looking for it. He goes down to the low line now. Heddershide goes to cover it off. This is really, really tough close action as Jason Martin takes a little bit of a peek down the inside line as Heddershide and Russell get very close. The car gets very loose as that side draft pits. These cars are a little bit more affected by the aero balance than the old generation, of course. And it seems if you get close on the exit of 3, the back end really steps out. It seems to sort of stall that rear diffuser a little bit, and that back end really gets loose on this car. And that's given J. Russ the chance to get through. Heddershide there just in front of teammate Foster now. And you can see he's lost a lot of speed over Jaden Russell. Jaden Russell's just managed to pull out a couple of tenths on the lead. That, of course, will soon change, but really fast and furious action at the front of this race with 18 laps remaining.
Yeah, and if you keep looking back down the field as well, you'll see the cars 2 and 3 wide, and it's just inside the top 10. And they're racing pretty hard.
The gamble definitely didn't pay off for Paul Jackson. He's dropped right to the back of the field. The only car further back is unfortunately Michael Skurlock, the man that had to serve the penalty. A sort of caution now would possibly save Skurley's race, as he'd get the lucky dog and get back into this race. But really unfortunate for Skurlock, who was having a really strong race early on. The gamble definitely didn't pay off for Paul Jackson either, unfortunately. But it's still all to play for in the midfield. There is barely anything covering these cars. The gap from the gap from first to 16th is 1.7 seconds. So there is nothing covering the top 16 cars at the moment.
That's
Carl, you said Skurlock's had a bad luck. Right at the moment, his last lap was a 40.4. Jaden Russell and Dyson and everyone up the front are doing a 42.4. So Skurlock is 2 seconds quicker than the guys at the front. So that's the night he's having.
Yeah, he really needs that caution to be able to get back on the lead lap, and then there, work his way from the back of the pack through if he can. He'd need probably a couple of cautions to be a continuer again, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he really needed one to come out about lap with 25 to go to do anything. Although saying that, he could get in and get some tyres if everyone stays out, but I think everyone would dive for the pit lane.
Yeah, it would. I think it would help his night if a caution comes out, but right now it's possibly a little bit late. But we've seen Skurlock pull out the old magic before towards the end of a race and surprise us before. We could see it again. Meanwhile, it is Heddershide and Martin on the low line, Russell and Foster on the high line. As this race continues, Heddershide gets a really good run out the corner, gets squeezed down a little bit. Martin gets a really good run on the low line, actually. Martin's making that low line work as it stands, and Heddershide's had to cover him off, and that's giving Jaden Russell the opportunity to stay out there. Ryan Jones is thinking about who he wants to back. Does he want to keep low? Does he want to keep high at the moment? And he decides to keep sort of in the middle at the moment. He's not decided quite yet who he's going to go for.
Oh, he's going to go 3 wide.
So he's just going to go right down the middle and just take that spot for himself. Typical Ryan Jones move there, pulling the unexpected out, and he gets past Martin. Beautiful job.
Yep. It was the right time to do it. Great move. Now the question is, does he go high or low?
Yeah. Well, I mean, high, low, or just go down the middle again. He made that work last time. His ride, so he'll pull out a surprise, I'm sure, and he will be wanting to get. He would desperately like to get a victory tonight, I'm sure, to get that cup win under his belt. But at the moment, it is Russell and Heddershide. These two are really putting on a good show at the front.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
You know what the scary thing is here? You've got Chev, Ford and Toyota all in the mix for the win.
Exactly. There's all 3 of them currently running first, second and third. So it's nice to see that. Although we've got a Toyota coming up quite quickly, and Ryan Jones doesn't quite make it though, just has to ease off a little bit, and this has given Jason Martin a beautiful run on the low line. The 21, the purple beast of Martin, gets a beautiful run there. He takes the tight line. He's going to get a really beautiful run. J. Ross moves down he goes, and they're 3 wides that go across the start-finish line. It is Jones on the outside, Heddershide in the middle. Now it's Foster kind of in the middle. Martin is really working that low line hard. He is really going for it at the moment, and he's able to make it work for him. Not a surprise, it is Jason Martin, of course, and he can sometimes do magnificent things in these cars, and he is making that low line pay off for himself.
Yeah, that draft then was huge. That the 035 got a huge push from his teammate in the 53, and that sort of pushed him clear of the two cars of Jones and Martin in the 11 and 21. As we see the 035 making a move for the lead. Is he going to be clear? And the 28 crosses over.
Beautiful job there from Russell. He saw that one coming. He's got the low line now. Heddershide might still have this. He's got that high line. Russell has got in front of Heddershide, who had that beautiful run. Now he's going to slide the car up a little bit. And he's got Martin, who is just sitting there, just thinking about what move he's going to make as we're getting towards the end of this race. Only 10 laps remaining as Heddershide again goes down the inside. 0-5. It is absolute chaos. And now look who's working his way up through the field. It is Barry Neal, who is
in the 22.
He's just decided it's go time. He's decided, my strategy got ruined. I've had my sulk. Now I'm going to come back and I want to win this race. So Barry Neal is having a great run in the latter stages.
Might just have to leave the view on the blimp view just so we can get an eye on most of the action, because the lead's changing on every corner just about.
Yeah, it is within a blink of an eye. It can all change. As I said, the top 16 are covered. Well, top 16 now are covered by 1.6 seconds as Martin makes the move on the inside now. He's making a move down the inside as he decides, well, if you're not going to want the win, I'm going to take it. As Jason Martin goes up to the lead of this race, gets a lap led, gets the bonus point there. 8 laps remaining in this race. It is absolutely anybody's. Jane Russell now getting back down there. This is fantastic stuff. This is great racing. This is what we love to see. And then just behind him, it is just a massive cars. There is not a gap to fill, and they're still finding ways to pass each other.
The 21 and the 28 will, if they need to, they'll look at probably working together. They have a team.
Oh, contact between Pearson and Barry.
Contact between Pearson and Dyson as well. Dyson and Neal as well. They both hold it, so we don't get a caution coming out. Great job from those two for keeping those cars in a spot there they don't wreck, because that was almost a wreck for those guys. They managed to save it. Pearson going up into Barry Neal. Contact between those two, and that caused Neal to go up into Dyson. And those two did a fantastic job of saving those cars. They've dropped to the back of this group, but they're still within. As there's another big contact at the back, and that looks like it's Norman Clark possibly and Andrew Dyson with Barry Neal. No caution flag out by the looks of it.
I don't really want to go back and look at it. I just want to keep my eye on the action at the front, because it's always changing.
A huge moment there as Dyson and Clark got in contact with each other. Gary Wellman had to take avoiding action. Dyson's car is very second hand right now. He's taken a lot of damage to the front of that vehicle. He's actually had to come into pit lane, so he might have a penalty, drive-through penalty there, Dyson, in there. But the fact we didn't get a yellow, that's great news. We'll probably have to go back and look at that at the end of the race, because the action up the front is still frenetic and furious as Martin still leads. Heddershide just there. Russell looking to make the move. There are still a number of cars that could take the win with 6 laps to go here for round 21 of the ANZCAR Cup, brought to you by 24 Sim Services. Foster and Russell making a little bit of hip and shoulder contact. Foster now getting a good run. He's looking to make his way up to the front.
This is so intense. It's a matter of where do you look. This top group is really backwards and forwards.
It's absolutely nose to tail up the front. It's Jason Martin's broken out a couple of tenths of a second lead. It's not by much, but probably the biggest lead we've seen for a few laps. The cars have broken up a little bit, saying that if there's a 3-second gap from 14th to 1st at the moment, and that's the biggest gap we've seen for a number of laps, which is just tremendous stuff from this race.
Yeah, this front back's been pretty close and pretty intense for the last 20, 30 laps. So yeah, Jason's cleared out 0.2 of a second gap so far, which is a bit more comfortable and a bit of breathing room compared to what it's been like.
And it's almost settled down a little bit as there's just a couple less cars in the action out the front. But Foster is still racing hard with Russell. I say the action's settled down. It is still side by side from third down. There is absolutely nothing covering those cars. Nigel Patton having a good run as well. He's working his way up just beside Pearson at the moment. He's looking to make a bit of a run. Matty Ray's been a bit quiet, so maybe he'll come towards the end, the last 3 laps of this race. Maybe he's going to make a bigger run coming into the final couple of corners. But at the moment, Foster's managed to make the move on Russell. Foster's managed to get up in front into third position, and he's going to look at trying to get a little bit closer to his teammate. But Jason Martin's managed to break free at the moment. Martin in the lead, 2.5 laps or so remaining in this absolute blinder of a race.
Settled down. The first 3 and 4 cars have settled down. So the action's from about 5th onwards, which is the blue 31 of Micklemore there. The first 4 cars seem to be sort of stretching out their legs now and building a bit of a gap.
Yeah, they've really managed to get a little bit of breathing room, which is needed, as we've got 1 and a bit laps remaining now, and the white flag will soon be shown. So if a caution's going to come out, it needs to come out very soon, and I don't think we're going to see it. So it is going to be an absolute race to the end. The battle's still going on though behind Micklemore. You can see that Neil Pearson just getting shuffled down a little bit, and that's given Matty Ray a bit of a chance to move up in front of Nigel Patton. He's going to try and make a move on Ryan Jones. Meanwhile, Jason Martin comes around turn number 4. He's going to see that white flag flown, and he is going to be really, really pushing it, trying to get another win in the Cup Series. It's been a lean season for Jason Martin, which is something we're not used to saying in Cup. Just the 1 win so far this season, but he has shuffled his way nicely through the absolute melee that we had in that mid stint of the race, and there is still a race going on just behind him. Who knows who's going to get 4th in this race? It could be anybody's, but it looks like the top 3 are pretty settled in at the moment unless they make a mistake. Jason Martin comes around, just needs to make these final few corners, and he is going to get the win here at Michigan International Speedway. Jason takes the victory. Daniel Hendershide comes home in 2nd, with Edward Foster in 3rd position. 4th is Ryan Jones, and then it is extremely close between the rest. Absolutely nothing covering the rest of these guys. Jaden Russell 5th, 6th for Josh Micklemore, Neil Pearson 7th, Matty Ray in 8th, 9th for Nigel Patton, 10th for Ruben Phelps in the end. Biggest gainer of the race is the winner, Jason Martin, with 14 positions gained in this race. Great job from him.
I'll tell you what, that was an intense race, and 20 cars, 19 cars, all on the lead lap. So that was unbelievable. Great race from everyone. Everyone that should be congratulated there.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. Those last 30, 40 laps certainly flew by there. It was lots going on. You couldn't take your eyes off it.
Yeah, we may have had an interesting strategy race taken away from us, which it's always a shame when the strategy race aspect is sort of snatched away. But that final stint, nobody is going to complain about that one. As Jason Martin blows the engine, will he be able to roll it down to victory lane in neutral? Looks like he might be able to do it. Oh no, he turns it at the wrong time. Just misses out on that, parking it in the victory lane, but parks it on the front stretch. Jason Martin takes the win. right here, we're going to see, I think, the replay from that
Yeah, I'm
incident a
just
little bit
trying
further
to
back.
see what happened to Dyson and.
So there was contact between himself and Norman Clark. So they just get up into each other, and there it is. Dyson and Norman Clark just get up into each other. Gary Wellman has to take avoiding action with Paul Jackson, I think it was, from memory, and unfortunately sort of gets spun around, and Dyson takes a huge whack into the barriers. Norman Clark goes into the back of him as well, and that pretty much ended their nights respectively. That was the end of Dyson's run for the night as well. He took a lot of damage and had to come to pit lane. Norman Clark did end up finishing in 15th position, so he did make 2 spots in the race, but yeah, it was a big accident, and I think this is the
This is the
moment
Barry Neal a
between
bit earlier, yeah. It's a bit of bump drafting going on there.
So yeah, the incident was between Neil and Pearson that caused the big accident in the mid pack there. I think it was.
It might be a little bit.
I'll see if I
Here
can.
comes
This,
Pearson
this
now.
is, yeah, this is
Lap
it here. This
92,
is,
I think it was. So yeah, Pearson goes down underneath here, and then coming into turn 3, I think it was. Just Pearson just slides up a little bit and goes into the side of Neil, and that just shoots him right up into Pearson's teammate. And both of them do an amazing job of saving the car. Fantastic skill there by both the orange cars there to keep those pointing in the right direction, because that could have been an enormous wreck and the second yellow of the race for sure.
Yeah, I think Neil just got a little bit tight there in the corner, and that's led to him just pushing up there a little bit. But great save from the 2 orange cars. So that's sort of just digging back in those sessions there. How are we looking in the green room? Are we do we have some drivers all lined up, you reckon?
We do indeed. So what we'll do is we'll wrap up our third place finisher, the 53 of Edward Foster, for the team, the Atari racing team. So we'll bring up Mr. Edward Foster, the godfather of ANZCAR, finishing in third position tonight. Edward Foster, welcome to the broadcast booth, and congratulations on a very good D3 finish tonight.
Yeah, it was an entertaining one, wasn't it? Bit of a slow burner, I think, just with everybody trying to burn slowly their fuel, trying to save it to get through to half race. But after that became no longer an issue. It was on for young and old. Yeah, it was really good fun.
Yeah, we had an interesting strategy race coming on, sort of in the mid race, and then that caution absolutely blew that out. Obviously, taking 2 tyres for yourself, that was a bit of a gamble.
Well, look, it was and it wasn't. Like the tyres, I think, only had a couple of green flag laps on them when we went in. And because I was tyre saving, fuel saving, I keep saying that. Because I was fuel saving, I also wasn't taking a whole lot out of the tyres. I was driving real gentle. So, tyres were still good. I thought I'd come in and just give myself a little bit of a positional gain and a little bit of a benefit from some really fresh tyres there. But yeah, I need to do something to vault myself up the field because fighting through from 19th or wherever I wasn't going to be that cool. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. It paid off in dividends. It really paid off for you. Obviously, as you said, sort of finding your way through the field, it was a tricky one tonight because you sort of, it looks like it was pretty tricky to pass out there on sort of when you didn't have a bit of a tyre advantage. And then that final stint, once everybody didn't have to worry about fuel or anything like that, everybody was not really worrying too much about that and going all over the place.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bit of a mini super speedway, this place. It's not quite an intermediate, and it's not quite a super speedway, but you're very, very dependent on the draft, which is why it was so good to have guys that were, using their heads, a little bit of give and take. Worked with Dyson a little bit, worked with Ryan Jones a little bit, and of course tried to work with Daniel as much as I could. Unfortunately, we got that little breakaway at the end, which is what we wanted. We were trying to set it up so it'd just be us 2 versus Jason. And then we thought, okay, 2v1, we'd be able to make something happen. But Daniel just couldn't get close enough to Jace. I couldn't get close enough to Dan. and it just turned out the way it turned out. So but still, good result. I really kind of needed a good bounce back after a bit of a rough trot, I should say. So to have a P2 and a P3, both of which could have been wins very, very easily, and a couple of things gone a little bit different. Yeah, can't be too unhappy at all.
Look, great run tonight. Any questions from Matt or Mark?
No, I was just going to say, great move on taking the 2 tyres. A few people in the room maybe thought it was the wrong move, but it seemed to be the right move in the end, Ed.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like this style of racing always goes. Like, if you had a crystal ball, you get it right every time. So, we were, I think, myself and Pearson and Jackson and Phelps and those guys were all saving real hard and all managed to get past that halfway lap. But then, of course, the caution came out and threw that all out the window. And had something turned out a little bit different, that call for 2 tyres would have been thrown out the window as well, and it would have gone completely wrong. But, you got to make your calls and hope that the circumstances then play out to sort of fit in with those calls. And fortunately, I made one call tonight that didn't come off, i.e. the fuel saving so much, and one that really did at the end, taking the 2 tyres just to sort of put myself back up there. So, a bit of a neutral one, I suppose.
Congratulations on P3 tonight, Edward Foster. The usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors and people in general.
Just everyone for showing up tonight and everybody who was racing real close together. Yeah, it was great racing, as you would have seen. Like, I can't wait to watch that one back. I think it's really cool. So I hope everyone sort of enjoyed it. So just a thanks to all those guys that were sort of out there running, but, not pushing their luck or anything like that. They were racing sensible and not cutting each other off and just making moves when it was okay to do it. Shouts out to Dan for the great job. Shouts out to Jason for getting a win. And shouts out to, just want to give a special shout out to Ryan Jones as well. He ran real well with us tonight. He and I have had our bust ups over the years, but he's been driving real smart lately. So it was good to be out there on the track racing with him too.
Thank you so much, Edward Foster and Atari Autosport. Congratulations on P3, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth soon.
Thanks a lot.
Next up, we will grab that man's teammate, Mr. Daniel Hedeshide of Natari Autosport in P2 tonight. A fantastic race, fantastic job, battling all the way to the end and coming away with a really nice and strong P2 finish. Daniel Hedeshide, welcome to the booth.
Hey guys, what a ruthless race for those last 40 or 30 laps or so. I had to work for it. It was probably the hardest racing I've done all season there, and I mean the win was in sight, but Jason just had a little bit too much there at the end for me.
Look, it was absolute chaos at the end there. It was really hard work, and you had to battle every position you got. And even when you managed to get up to the front, it was hard keeping it there. We saw you really having to work hard and having a few moments as well, a little bit of door-to-door action here and there, and then moments where it looked like you were going to drop right back in the pack, and then all of a sudden it came back to life. It was fantastic stuff to watch. But from your position in the car, how was that for you?
Yeah, got the heart rate up a little bit. The draft was bringing us all pretty close together, and I was just trying to survive. I'm still trying to work my way into this chase, so I probably was a bit more cautious than I would have been if I was in a better position in the championship. But I mean, it was really fun racing, the same as last week. It's been 2 really good weeks of racing up the front.
Well, that's actually the next thing I wanted to talk about, because you're currently sitting in 11th, and I think this will possibly jump you up into the chase, or just very close to it at least. A really strong result from yourself tonight, and obviously we were getting into the tail end of the season, so if these results keep coming, it's going to be good news for you, because you're going to be looking at possibly getting into the chase this season.
Yeah, I had a pretty horrendous middle part of the season there, and I sort of had to wake my ideas up a bit and probably backed my racing down a little bit just to start getting some consistent results, and slowly they're just getting better and better, and it's making my way back up. The DNF is not good in a championship ever, and I've had a few too many of those this season, so it's consistency, try and work my way into the chase so I can give it a good go.
Now, just sort of in the mid part of the race, we saw obviously yourself and your teammate sort of going into that one stop strategy sort of area. When was the decision? When did you think, yeah, it's possible to make it on one stop? Did you know from the start of the race, or was that something that you sort of worked out a little bit further on into the stint?
Well, we sort of knew it was possible, but I was going for the one stop, and about lap 30, I seen, well, yeah, Skirley and Douglas pitted, and I thought, I was hating that battle. I was just making every wrong line. I was getting past left, right, and centre, and it was just chaos. So I made the call and ended up pitting and getting some free track. That second stint there was actually really good. I was sort of running just my own pace coming through. I mean, I got probably a bit lucky with the caution to vault me back up to the front of the field, so it worked out in the end.
No, absolutely. Sorry, yeah, I meant to say two stop. Because so yeah, obviously that sort of caution, it came out at pretty much the right time for yourself, and we saw Norman as well up there with you as well. So that caution was sort of pivotal for getting there, and it really helped get you into the battle for the end. Do you think the two stop would have worked had the race gone green all the way?
I don't think it would have been put us in a position to win, but I think it would have still put us somewhere in the 10. I was once again sort of starting to think about the championship. I was getting nailed left, right, and centre on that first run, just trying to save fuel and pick the right line. And I thought, oh, this is going to come to a bad end soon. So yeah, I just got out of there and just ran my own race with Skirley and Douglas. Caught them a bit, and yeah, obviously the caution came out and made it chaotic for the last part of that race.
Absolutely. Mark or Matt, any questions?
No, just congratulations, mate. Some good racing there the last couple of weeks, and yeah, great result for you.
Yeah, cheers, man. It's getting there. It's getting there.
As is tradition, as is usual, the usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors, people in general tonight after getting a fantastic P2 finish.
Yeah, just once again, thank the Natari boys. It was good to get a double podium. I think it might be our first one of the season, which is a bit surprising, but whatever. They're coming when they count. And yeah, to AJD Group and Fully Flawed, and yeah, you guys put on the broadcast. All the races, it was a really clean race. I wasn't really expecting that, and yeah.
Look, congratulations tonight, and hopefully we'll get you back in the booth soon. And good luck for the remainder of the season. Hopefully we'll get to see you in the chase.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Cheers, guys.
And finally, tonight we will grab up the winner of the race for Mitch Motorsport, Mr. Jason Martin's second win of the Cup season. Jason Martin of the 21, congratulations tonight and well done on a well-deserved victory.
Oh, thanks, mate. That was fun. That was hard work. Oh, man, that was great. I enjoyed that win.
It didn't come easy, did it? Qualifying was not great for you.
Oh, I had to work for that. I made a mess of qualifying and started mid-pack, and then late in the race I got stuck mid-pack again and had to make my way past everyone. So definitely wasn't an easy one, but it was damn good fun.
Oh, look, a great run there. I mean, towards the end of the race, obviously, strategy-wise, you were looking at the single stop strategy. What were you hoping if that caution didn't come out? Sort of, were you expecting to get up towards the front towards the end of that strategy, or were you sort of thinking maybe top 10 position?
Oh yeah, I definitely think the one stop was the way to go because the tyres died pretty quick, and so I think the one stoppers would have come out on top in the end if they didn't go too slow when saving fuel.
No, it was one of those things of it was a shame to see to see the strategy race disappear, but it was great to see that action at the end because it was absolute chaos from that caution onwards because we saw changes of position pretty much every lap, and you were sitting down in the mid pack for a fair bit of it, and then all of a sudden you just appear at the front of the pack.
Oh yeah, man, that was fun. I was making moves. I was trying everything I could, but without the draft, it was so hard to make the pass stick. I knew I was a bit quicker on exit, but you didn't have that draft, and they just draft back by and made it so much harder. But made it so much more rewarding to get that win.
I mean, it's easy to say. Probably this car has not suited you too much this year. It's been a rough. It's been a hard year for you. Saying that, you're still fourth in the championship. You've had a win already. So this has been a really slow year for Jason Martin. But it looks like things are turning around for you in this car at the moment.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, but I think last week was a bad race. But yeah, going a bit better now, starting to get the hang of the car, but yeah, still don't like it at all. It doesn't drive the way I like a car to drive, but it is what it is, and we've all got the same car, so whoever drives it best deserves the wins, and it hasn't been me lately.
No, but tonight it definitely was. Look, some of those passes you put on people were fantastic as well. And towards the end of the race, obviously, when did you get the feeling that victory was within your grasp?
Oh, never. With that draft, I didn't think I was going to be able to make the passes stick. I knew I could get good exits on them down low, but I just thought I wouldn't get the draft and I wouldn't be able to make the passes. But yeah, in the end, I finally got it done, and yeah, hard work, but great win. I enjoyed that.
No, absolutely, and well done for making that low line work as well as you did as well. You were sort of the only car that sort of seemed to make that low line work as as easy as you made it look, which I'm sure it wasn't that easy to do. But watching you sort of made it work very well.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to do. You got to get the timing right. If you get on the gas a bit too early, you're going to push up, and then you'll have to get out of the gas, and you'll have no speed at all. So the trick was to getting on the gas at the right time, and yeah, it was hard work but fun.
No, absolutely, it paid off. Mark, any quick questions for Jace?
I was just going to say, I'll go get that lead weight out of those two Fords for you now, mate. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Look, Jace, it's always a pleasure to have you up here, and it's always great to get you in at the top position. Fantastic win tonight. Before I let you go, the usual thing of shout out and love to the sponsors and people in general.
Got to thank Performance e-streaming for the broadcast. I think that would have been a great race to watch, so I think people would have enjoyed that one. Affinity Constructions Australia for sponsoring the team, and Mad As Designs also, and of course all the boys at Mitch Motorsports. We're starting to get some good results again, so yeah, it's been good lately. We're getting some great results and enjoying the racing a bit more.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a dry season for Mitch Motorsport. I mean, you've managed to get wins in every series and take a few championships, but it's been a slow season for you guys.
Yeah, definitely a slow start, but starting to pick it up at the business end.
No, absolutely. It's great to see. And look, we love the competition you guys bring. Good to see you up there. Congratulations again, Jason. And I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth sometime soon.
Cheers, mate.
Jason Martin there of Mitch Motorsport taking the victory tonight in a fantastic fashion. A well-deserved win for a incredibly talented driver. We'll just run through those results again for you. So taking the win, Jason Martin, Daniel Hedersheed second, third for Foster, Jones in fourth, starting fourth, finishing fourth, but that is not really the tail of his race. Jaden Russell comes home in fifth, Josh Micklemore in sixth, Pearson seventh, Matty Ray in eighth, ninth for Nigel Patton, had a great run from 21st position on the grid. So Patton did a great run of running up there. If it wasn't for Jason Martin, he would have been the biggest gainer. And Ruben Phelps finishing in 10th. Then we roll over, and it is Jamie Nankervis in 11th. Then Neil, Wellman, Douglas, Clark, Jackson, Fenley, Campbell, Lobb, and Koch in 20th. And then finally, it is Skurlock. Really unfortunate tonight, probably the fastest car out there, and a shame to see Skurlock down in that position after that cruel penalty. Dyson in 22nd, 23rd for Jordan, and Worley out the race at early 24th. Sort of just getting that damage, and it really hurt him, unfortunately. But fantastic action here tonight. We're heading off to a road course next week, Indianapolis, of course. So a very different track indeed. Just before we wrap up, though, final thoughts from the two boys up here in the booth, Mr. Matt Hunter. What were your final thoughts on that race?
Well, it was pretty crazy. Those last 30, 40 laps just went in a hurry. You couldn't take your eyes off the front 10, 12, 15 cars. They were all battling pretty hard there, and it was really great racing. Really good to see, and unfortunate for a few guys there that a few incidents had knocked them out of the running late. But yeah, no, definitely good race. Backing up another great race from last week.
And Mark, your final thoughts?
Wow, wow, wow! What a great race! Like, I mean, to say those last 30 laps, as Matt said, and you said that any one of 10 drivers could have won that, or it could have been an incident and taken out the top 10 drivers, and someone further back could have come through. And that's NASCAR racing. Like, it's great, great close racing.
No, absolutely. And look, great job for those guys that held the car and managed to stop the cautions from coming out, because we almost saw a caution towards the end, and some great driving to stop that happening. Great driving as well through the pack. Some brilliant racing tonight. Great close racing. A big thank you to everybody for joining us. As always, a huge thank you to the audience, because without you guys, we could not do this. And look, if you feel free to share and like and comment and subscribe, the usual things as we say, they all help us in the long run. But we'll be back next week with the Indianapolis road course for round 22 of the 24/7 Sim Services ANZCAR Cup series. But from myself, Carl Wilkinson, with Mr. Mark Johansson and Matt Hunter, we'll wish you a good night, and we'll see you again next week.